Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis. We'll begin Lamed Daled Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the bottom at the 2 dots. Why is it that we say that something which does not increase the heat, something which is not Masechet Hevel, you cannot insulate with that after it's already Shabbos? You can insulate with that, as we saw in the Mishnah, that you can be taimen bein hashmashos on the Safik Chashecha, Safik en Chashecha. The Mishnah says taimen nesachamen. You could insulate. You could insulate when it's bein hashmashos. You could insulate. That's bein hashmashos. But when it's Chashecha, even something which is not Masechet Hevel, it's only bein hashmashos, but not on the outside of Shabbos. So why is that so? Why is that on the onset of Shabbos, when it's already Shabbos, you cannot insulate even with something that does not increase the heat? For instance, like taking a towel and insulating a hot pot with a towel, wrapping it with a towel. Because we're afraid that it'll come already Shabbos, he'll want to cover the pot, he'll see that the pot is already cooled down, and he might come to heat it up, and it'll come to be over on Bishul and Shabbos. Well, if that's the gzer, why don't we guys are ben hashmashos as well? Maybe the same thing will apply. He said no. Stam kederes reis chesein. When he puts the pot on right before Shabbos. He put the pot on the stove. Ben hashmashos time, it's still hot. It's still boiling. We're not worried at that point in time. So there we do allow him to insulate with something which is not Masechet Hevel, to wrap with a towel. But when it's already Shabbos, when it's later and it's already Shabbos, at that point it might have cooled down. So at that point we have this gzera that perhaps he'll come and now see that it's cooled down, and he'll come to boil it up. Now we only permit to be taimen on something which is not Masechet Hevel, and that we permit on bein hashmashos. But something which is Masechet Hevel, something which increases the heat, the intensity of the heat, that is also even before Shabbos, even before bein hashmashos, even b'boy joim, even on Erev Shabbos. So why is that so? From the Gemara, we're afraid he might insulate with hot ash and coals. That's something that is Masechet Hevel, increases the heat. If we allow things that increase the heat, he might be taimen with remetz, with ashes and coals. The ashes that have a coal. So what is the problem? Let him do that. Why would we be concerned if he's doing the hatmana? So why is that? It's before Shabbos. Why is that a concern? Because what we're afraid about is that if he has the coal over there, and then comes Shabbos and he sees that it's not completely cooked, he might stir the coals in order to now increase the heat, so that it'll cook, and it'll cook up, and it'll be completely cooked. Now, as Rashi points out, even though that would be only concerned if something is not completely cooked. If something is completely cooked, we would not have that concern. However, it's a loy plug. It's a loy plug, and therefore we answer all cases are davar haMasechet Hevel, to a case where a person, if something is not completely cooked, and if there are coals in there, he might, when Shabbos comes and sees that it's not completely cooked, he might stir the coals, and that is an act of bishul. Bein hashmashos, we discussed in the Mishnah about bein hashmashos that you can be taimen on that period of time, which is a safik yom, a safik laila. Bein hashmashos, safik min hayom or min halayla. So it's a safik, is this period of time between sunset and seisuk kochavim? Is this period of time partial day and partial night? Is the first part of it still daytime, and then the latter part of it is nighttime? Safek kula min hayom, safek kula min halayla. Or it's a safek, is this period of time entirely day, or is it maybe completely nighttime? Meaning, from the time of sunset, do we say, well, nighttime begins at sunset, and therefore already after sunset, after Shkia, it's already nighttime? And for instance, on Erev Shabbos, it would be, therefore, after Shkia, it would be already Shabbos, and an Isser D'Oraisa to do Malacha? Or do we say no, night only starts at Seisuk Chavim, and this period of time over here would be considered to be daytime, and there's no Isra Malacha? Or is it both? Is it part day and part night? So we give the chumras of both days, of 2 days. We give it a chumrah, we treat it as night and treat it as day. How do we define ben hashmashos? When the sun sets, so long as the horizon is red, there's redness in the sky. When the sun sets, after you don't see the ball of the sun anymore, the sky is red. So it says, as long as the Pnei Mizrach HaMadim, we'll see in the Gemara, what does that mean? Is it referring to the eastern horizon or the western horizon? So that will be discussed in the Gemara. If the lower part of the horizon turned dark already, so it's not red, it turned dark, but not the top part, ben hashmashos. That's still considered ben hashmashos. But when it's completely dark, the upper part of the horizon also turned dark and is similar to the lower part, that is Laila de Rav Yehuda. That's what Rav Yehuda says. That's what Rav Yehuda says. So the Gemara will ask, is an apparent contradiction because it says Kol Panai, it says initially when, as long as the redness in the sky is ben hashmashos, and then it says when the lower part of the sky is dark and the upper part is red, then it's considered to be still ben hashmashos. And initially it said that Kol Zman Shepnei Mizrach Ma'adimim, as long as the sky is red, and it's a mashma that it has to be red and not dark, not black. So the Gemara will deal with this apparent contradiction. That's the sheet of Rav Yehuda. Rav Nechemia says the shear is after sunset, the time it takes to walk a half a mil. That duration of time is ben hashmashos. After that is considered already to be nighttime. How much is a chatzi mil? So it depends. There's different sheets of the period of time to walk a mil. Is it 18 minutes or 24 minutes? So therefore, a chatzi mil is either 9 minutes or 12 minutes. Rabbi Yossi says it's with a blink of an eye. It's a short period of time. It's a period of time right before nighttime, before it says. That blink of an eye right before it says. It's like a blink of one day leaves, the night comes in, and you can't determine exactly when it is. But it is right before it says Kochavim. So now coming back to the previous statement. So we give it the chumras of 2 days. What is this Nagei al-Halacha? Now obviously it's Nagei al-Halacha. Is it considered day? Is it considered night? Is it considered Shabbos? Is it Erev Shabbos? Is it Shabbos or Motzai Shabbos? But this particular suffix, where we consider it perhaps both day and night, that part day and part night, my nafkamina to consider it part day and part night, what an additional nafkamina is that over the suffix, is it day or is it night? Amar Rav Huna B'rei Rav Yeshua Linyan Tuma. It's a nafkamina for the halachas of Tuma. Kirsan. Rosh Yomim Ben Hashmosha is suffix l'Tuma l'Korban. So this is dealing with the halacha of a zav. A zav, a person who sees an emission of a ziva, if he sees one re'iyah, he has tumah, but tumah's carry. So he's only tumah for that day. If he has 2 re'iyahs, then he is tumah for 7 days. He needs a tumah, he's tumah, and he has to see 7 clean days. And he's only tor after he sees 7 clean days, then he's tor. If he sees 3, then he is Tomei, he needs Shir Nakim, and he has to bring a korban as well. Now the Zav is Tomei whether he sees different Re'iyas, so we say he sees 2 Re'iyas, means 2 separate Re'iyas. He sees it either on the same day, or he sees 2 Re'iyas or 3 Re'iyas he sees it on 2 consecutive days, or on 3 consecutive days. But he cannot have, if he has a day that interrupts it, if he has a re'iyah on one day, and then the next day there's no re'iyah, then on the 3rd day there's a re'iyah, that breaks it up. It's considered 1 re'iyah. It's not considered 2, it's not considered 3. So he needs to see 2 or 3 re'iyahs if it's on separate days, it has to be consecutive days. There can't be an interruption of a day where he does not see. If it is, then he does not have the din of a zov. He has a din of just a zov of one riyah, which has a din of a balkari, which is only tamei for that day. He's not tamei for 7 days, and he doesn't have to bring a korban. So now, if he raw shnei yamim bein hashmashos, if he saw 2 bein hashmashos, now the 2 bein hashmashos, that could be a riyah of 2 days, or it could be a riyah of 3 days. So it's a sofek for tuma, or it's a sofek for korban. So that possibly is a riyah of 2 days or 3 days, or perhaps it's even a riyah of only 1 day. Now, how could that be? If he sees a riyah on 2 days bein hashmashos. So, because bein hashmashos is a sofek of part the day and part night, if he saw the riyah on the first bein hashmashos, the first day of bein hashmashos. Now, if he saw that riyah when it was still day, the day component of bein hashmashos, and if on the next day he saw bein hashmashos on the bein hashmashos of the bein hashmashos, which is on the night component, well, then he really has an interruption of a day. Because if he saw, for instance, he saw Sunday, and he saw it on bein hashmashos, so then if he saw that on that day, then if that bein hashmashos is the day component, then it's still Sunday. Then if he saw it on the next day, and he saw it on the bein hashmashos of Monday, then, and he saw it on the night component of Monday, then that means that it's Tuesday. Then it's Monday night into Tuesday. So there's a day that separates the two. Then he's not even tamei for 7 days. He's only tamei like a balkari. But if we say that he saw on the bein hashmashos of both the same component of the bein hashmashos, so he saw on Sunday of bein hashmashos on the day component, and on Monday on the day component, then he saw Sunday and Monday, 2 consecutive days. Then it's 2 consecutive days, and he's tamei for 7 days, but there's no korban. But if he saw, for instance, on the Sunday of the bein hashmashos, and it continued on both parts of it. So then he saw on the Sunday on the day component, and it lasted into the night component. Then he saw Sunday and Monday. And then if he sees on the Monday on bein hashmashos on the night component, that's Tuesday, then he saw Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 consecutive days, and therefore he is tamei for 7 days and also has to bring a korban. Raw Yomi Echad bein hashmashos, but if he only saw 1 day bein hashmashos, now that certainly cannot be considered to be 3 re'iyahs. It's only 1 re'iyah on the bein hashmashos, but it's a sofek l'tumah. It's not a sofek l'korban because it can't be considered 3 re'iyahs, but it could be considered 2, because if he saw on the bein hashmashos and it continued on both parts of that bein hashmashos, so it was part on the day component, and it continued into the night component, that's 2 consecutive days, and therefore it would be for tumah as well. So now we're coming back to the definition of bein hashmashos. Haguf Akash. Amra dezu bein hashmashos, we say one is bein hashmashos tishka chama, from the time of shkia, sunset, kol zman, shepnei mizrach ma'adimim, as long as the sun, the horizon is red. Which implies that if the bottom part of the sky turned dark, it already would be considered nighttime. But then it says, if the lower part of the horizon is dark, but not the upper, then it's still bein hashmashos. So it seems to be a stira. Amar Rava, Amar Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Karach v'Tani. Combine them together. Connect them together, and learn it as follows. Ezo bein hashmashos mishetishka chama. What is bein hashmashos? From shkia, kol zman, shepnei mizrach ma'adimim. As long as it's red. Now, what do we mean when we say that the horizon is red? V'hichsav atachton v'hichsav alyon nami bein hashmashos. And that is still considered red, even if the lower part of the horizon is dark, but the upper part is still red. That's still considered red. But if they came together and they're both uniformly dark, that's Lila. That's one approach. That is the first approach. That's what Rav says. Rav Yosef Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Hachiktane Mishatishka Chama calls Manchpnei Mezrich Madimim. What it means is when the sky is red, that's not Ben Hashmashas. Yom. That's still daytime. But when the lower part of the horizon is dark, that already is Ben Hashmashas. So they're arguing when this horizon is red. According to Rabbah, that's already the onset of Ben Hashmashas. According to Rav Yosef, no, that's still daytime. Ben Hashmashas is only when it turns dark. They both agree when it's dark on both on the bottom and the top, that's Laila. So we see over here that the period of Ben Hashmashas, Rav Yosef's period of Ben Hashmashas is less. He holds that the Ben Hashmashas is not only when it starts to get dark. When it's red and there's no darkness, that's not Ben. So his period of Ben Hashmashas is a shorter period of time. So this, how we define the length of Ben Hashmashas, we see that they follow the opinions from the following. What is the length of time, the duration of the Ben Hashmashas? He says, Rabbah says 3 parts of the time it takes to walk a mil. My gimel chelke mil. What do we mean 3 parts of that? Ilem atlosa palge mila. Do you mean to say 3 halves of a mil? So name a mil machsa. Why say 3? Say 1.5 mil. Ela atlosa tilsa mila. You say that it means 3/3 of a mil. Well, 3/3 as a whole is 1. Name a mil. Say mil. So you couldn't have meant that. Ela tlosa rive mil. It must have meant 3/4 of a mil. The time that it takes to walk 3/4 of a mil, either 13.5 minutes or 18 minutes. He says 2 parts of a mil. What did it mean? What does that mean? Does it mean 2 halves of a mil? A mil. Say a mil. You mean to say that means 2/4 of a mil, 2/4 of a half, say a half. You meant 2/3 of a mil. So the machlekes of Ben Hashmashas, is it 3/4 of a mil? The time it takes 3/4 of a mil, or 2/3 of a mil? Is it 2/3? Is it 12 minutes or 16 minutes? Is it 13.5 minutes or 18 minutes duration, or is it 12 or 16? My beinayu kebeinayu palga de danka. The nafkamina, the difference between them is a 12th, the palga de danka. The difference is in there. There's a 1/12 difference between 3/4 of a mil, between 3/4 and 2/3 is a difference of a 12th. That's the difference between the 3/4 is 9/12, and 2/3 is 8/12, 1/12 of a difference. So therefore, it's a difference between 1.5 and 2 minutes. So you see over here the Ozlu Tamayu, as far as what is the duration of the Ben Hashmashas, Rabbah holds it's a longer period of time, Rav Yosef a shorter period of time, and this machlekes will be continued on Daf Lamed Hey.